Here we go. It's September 4th, 2025. We're 9 months in. Every time I blink, another month goes by. But I'm glad to be back home. I get the light. I got my lighting set up here, so I apparently need a bottom light according to Jed, but it's better than being in the dark. Yeah, so here we are, Vibecast. We had a busy week this week. We got Tommy and Timu who did a meetup in Helsinki earlier this week, and I was fortunate enough to give a few words at the beginning. Thanks for including me on that, by the way. My finish isn't great, but it sounds like you had a really good turnout. Lots of people in the audience and online. So, any takeaways from that event that you held? I know. I think Timu might be driving, but if he's when he's back, he can
Yeah,
let us know.
I can answer shortly. It was
Oh,
it was a very good atmosphere, and the house was full, and a lot of good discussions and networking after the meeting. I think it was a pretty nice, and we have good guild coming up in the Finnish chapter. So everything was like very. I think I'm happy with the results, and thankful for everyone who was participating and involved in presentations and so forth. So yes.
great. Well, I
Nice.
appreciate taking the time and effort to put that together. It's these are coming together quite nicely, and we got another
You
one event coming up in
you mind,
Toronto.
I'm a bit Teemu's
Oh,
driving,
sure.
so it was almost I think in total over 100 people was participating, like 80, 90 at the venue, and then 20 online. So that was really successful. And so Teemu and Mikko Alasarla did very good job on that one. So congrats for them. And based on the feedback what I've seen in LinkedIn and everywhere else, the people have been really thrilled about it.
Great, John. Good to see you. You keep popping up here. Hope all is well. Um,
Hi, everybody.
Hey, John.
hey. We've we do an event every Tuesday or second Tuesday in Toronto of the month. We got another one coming up on the 9th of September next week. So if anyone that's in Toronto, you're more than welcome to come by. We're at the Tribal Scale offices downtown near the Sky Dome or whatever they call that facility these days. Anything to add to that, Rob?
Yeah, it's shaping up. We've got it's 25 John Street, so right downtown, and September 9th, same night as New York City. So maybe we
Oh,
should pipe in a hello. So
yeah.
yeah, New York City's September 9th, Tuesday as well. And then Wednesday, the New Zealand folks, Chris and Mark, are putting together a hands-on agentic coding working session. Paris is September 16th. And then Abu Dhabi's on the map for the 23rd. And I think Tommy's 28th rather. And I think Tommy's got Dubai on the 23rd. So yeah, lots of meetups. But next Tuesday, Toronto and New York City, same night. So it should be great.
Yeah, we should get the Zoom going and see if we can have like a mutual collaboration between both locations.
Yeah,
Some sort of a switcheroo. That's a technical term, I think.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's exciting. Anything anyone wants to bring up before we jump in and see what we can vibe today? This is last call. Well,
Let's
first
get
call.
vibing.
All right, let's.
Good vibing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so let's Chris. What is it? 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Good
That's
morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah.
I don't feel as bad now that I stayed up till 3, like last week for Chris. So well, I do feel bad actually, but here we are. So I've been busy working on my Flow Nexus system, and I'll show you a bit of where I'm at in that. A lot making some progress there. I've also been playing around with different MCP tools, and this week one of the big ones that I was playing around with was Codex. I'm not sure if anyone's been playing with Codex from OpenAI, but it's their version of Claude Code. So I'm gonna jump out of this for a moment. So for those who aren't familiar, you can install Codex, and then you can run it. You've got different options for Codex as well. So it's very similar to the sort of stuff you're gonna do with I'm gonna close some of this stuff so you don't see all my. Oh, of course. All right, jeez. All right. So we're in this case, we can go here. We have different settings. We can they call it ask for approval. There's a sandbox mode. There's various other settings you can invoke manually or what have you. There's also an MCP, which I've actually put into Claude as well. So if we just go Codex for a moment, and I'll go here to Codex. And you'll see that it's a more minimalist style UI. I've actually added my Flow Nexus system to it. So I'm going to do a little testing to see how it works here. Now, you're also going to notice that I've added some hooks. The hooks are a little wonky, to be honest, but you'll see in a minute what I mean by those. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, tell me about the latest Flow Nexus ch challenges. Now, this is a little slow, so we'll see that it takes a while for it to think, and that might be because I'm using the model. I don't know if I don't know if I can do the model while it's thinking, but I'm using like a medium reasoning model, which I think slows it down. I might want to use a different model for that. But we can see here that it's invoking the my MCP. So this is the request it's made to view all my challenges. It's going to list my challenges. Now, so it sees we have the neural network trading challenge. So as for those who are participating in my trading system next week, I'm actually creating trading related challenges to see who can trade the fastest, the most effectively, and it's a nice way to sort of teach people how to do the training for learning how to do neural trading. So I'm using the platform to train people how to do agentic trading in this case. Down here, you're going to notice that this is the hook that I was telling you about. It's weird. So what I'm doing is I'm updating my swarm memory, but it does when it invokes it, it gives you the verbose output directly in the system where Claude doesn't do that. So I might need to do like a quiet mode or something that hides this stuff for codecs. It doesn't affect anything. It just kind of makes it weird to use.
Ruth, can I
So now,
interrupt for a second? Does
sure.
this goes with ChatGPT subscription, or is this
Yes.
API like a? Oh, okay, great.
It's unlimited. It's unlimited use. It's just like Claude Code, Claude Max, except there is no there. I've never reached a limit. So there's it goes forever, and you can directly integrate this into Claude Code. So now I did that already. So I'm gonna jump over here, and I'm gonna say actually, I'm gonna start a new one. So for those who are unfamiliar with my approach, I use quick aliases. So if you want to create your own, I've got two bash. Update the bash RC to do Claude space dash dash dangerously skip dash permissions, and then you can just write DSP or DSPC to continue. In this case, I'm just going to write DSP, just dangerously skip permissions. Then I'm going to say try the codex MCP. We'll see what happens there. So this should invoke the codex. So I'm using the unlimited use of OpenAI's codex system within Claude Code. So you can see here that it's invoking that. And it's nice because you can get kind of an alternative perspective. It's an easy way to get basically the Claude Code reasoning models in there and other things. So I'm just using the MCP directly from that point of view. So we'll see what happens here. Read the repo. What can I do? So it's telling me what it can do. Now I can click Control R to get a better view of what the response is. So we can see here that it says, what can I do? It responded, I can do all kinds of things. I can build, I can test, I can do approval and limits. It can basically do everything Claude Code does. Now, it does do sequential components, but it doesn't do it quite as well or as elegantly as Claude Code, but it does. And it's unlimited use. I've got, of course, the $200 plan. I don't know how it works with the cheaper plans because I don't have it. So someone who has it might be able to tell me if it works or how much it works there. All right, so now we can see run commands, build, test, lint. Okay, yeah. So basically, this command basically pulled the codex system in Cloud Code. All right, but I'm not interested in. So now let's do something else. Create. Oops, why is there a D there? Okay, create a swarm and deploy it as a sandbox using Flow Nexus. Now, again, you're looking at a kind of messy version because I'm probably gonna have to remove those hooks at the end because you're looking at my dev environment where I'm invoking my memory. But what I'm doing right now is I'm testing it. So what we're gonna continue testing, and I'm gonna go here, and I'm going to do the same thing in root code, and I'm gonna say enter a trading challenge and flow nexus. So what you're looking at really is me testing my system concurrently in 3 different systems at the same time. And I can take this a step further. I can take this, and I don't think I have it on this one. Do I? Oh, we'll see if I do.
A quick
Control
question,
shift.
Ruben. Is your memory store, your SQLite, was it SQLite or MySQL memory store implemented as an MCP server, or is it integrated into the
Oh,
system?
well, yeah, the flow. So I moved all the memory and coordination into the cloud. So what that allows me to do is have this invoked through my sandboxes I can deploy. So you can see here that it on the left-hand side, it's actually entering a challenge. It's entering a trading challenge. So it found that there are some trading challenges. It found the ID, and then I can coordinate not locally but remotely. So what I did is I created a real-time channel and then I allow the system to coordinate whether it's in the E2B sandbox or whether it's other instances that I'm running, and they can all coordinate independently of any particular environment.
And
So
then are those is that memory instance a global memory instance or a sandbox memory instance for whatever members of the swarm are participating in that micro swarm?
it's global. So that
Okay.
means that if I spin up the Flow Nexus MCP in Claude Desktop and I want it to continue what was doing here in root code or Codex or Claude Code or GitHub, it'll automatically allow me to do that.
It'll
So
have
it's
access to that same memory instance.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
and so in this case over here, this is a different environment. I can say list my current sandboxes. So I'm using E2B for the sandboxes. Now
Yep.
I can use all the coordination of the swarms and the topology structures. And now when I create an agent, rather than it being a thread within Claude Code, it becomes a full running environment, a container that's running in essentially E2B.
Right. 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 Right.
Now again,
But where does the
this
controller for the memory live? Is that part of uh, Flow or Swarm, or is it distributed out as componentry in your cloud endpoints? Like how do they is the database instance is got to run somewhere, right? And something's got to control that.
I'm using a combination of Supabase and real-time channels. So the
Okay.
real time provides me a kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, like Slack style communication channel. And
Yeah. Yeah.
then I've got sort of optimized SQL styles, Postgres style components that basically will coordinate the metering and the anti-cheating capabilities, all kinds of things. So
Right.
in this case, what you're seeing on the left-hand side is a brand new user that was created just to enter this particular challenge. You can see it created some neural network challenging bot. It's then going to create the code, and I've also got it so you can submit more than once. So if the challenge is happening over the run of a week, you might want to submit early and then submit over and over again. And I've got the algorithm. So if you got your best, the earlier that you submit and the better the score is going to take preference. So if 2 people enter and get the same score, and I've got what I call Serafina, which is another instance that spins up using Claude Code and Claude Flow to actually review all the entries based on a rubric style structure that looks at different metrics and components to determine how and what the best result is, and then it acts as a judge. So
She
now,
she arbitrates breaking the tie.
yeah, she's an arbitrator, and she looks at functionality, originality, speed and efficiency of the code. Does it actually work and do what it's supposed to? So she's actually running it, trying it, using it, and then giving you a vote. So I do a short, I do a quick initial sort of analysis of the code that's submitted, which is kind of a lightweight sort of analysis that I can just do on the fly. Then once the challenge is done, I use a PG cron trigger that basically says the time's up, and there was 100 people who entered, and then it concurrently spawns 100 different E2B sandboxes using the Serafina judging system. She takes the code, looks at the code, runs the code, and then does a final sort of analysis of it, submits it back to the database, and then finally, once it's all the submissions are done, it'll say out of the 100 submissions, these are the top 3, and then it allocates the points and the winner, and so on. So in this case, I can say like list the Flow Nexus leaderboard. And
competitive coding, man. I love competitive coding.
yeah, it's competitive coding, but the key difference to this competitive coding is it's a combination of human interaction. So you can go in there and you can say what it is I'm defining the different things you compete with. So in this case, I can say what are the other current challenges available? I gotta spell that right. Available. And so again, you'll see here in Rue, it'll go and use the MCP to figure that out. And in this case over here, I'm looking at the Flow Nexus leaderboard. It looks like it didn't use the MCP for some reason. That's weird. That's probably because I might be in the development environment. Use the MCP to find the leaderboard. Yeah, I don't know what this looks like it hallucinated that, I think. All right, I can tell it's hallucinated because it created some kind of, I don't know what it did. So now I can see that it's and this is the challenge I have when working with, oh, you know what I didn't do? Actually, I know what the problem is. I didn't actually include the MCP here in this particular Claude Flow because it's where I'm doing the development. So I'm running it independently. So the one over here on the left is actually true. So it's looking at Claude Flow, not Flow Nexus.
So it didn't have an MCP connection, so it made up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I could tell immediately that it made it up. So here, this is the actual stuff. So let's look at this. This is the development environment's probably a little confusing. All right, so current active challenges in Flow Nexus. Tactical debugging, difficulty advanced, time limit 30 minutes. We've got difficult, these are different levels ranging from expert. A lot of these are expert. I should probably make some easier ones. Here's a beginner one. So this is the neural trading bot challenge. It says I've already entered that. I competed with a score of 100. I gotta see why it's giving me 100. I don't like that it gives me 100, so I probably have to adjust the initial review. Probably just works, and that was enough. But keep in mind, I got a double review of this, so just because you get 100 in the beginning doesn't really mean anything. All right, let's agent swarm challenges. Let's enter let's say, tell me about the workflow system in Flow Nexus. So the Flow Nexus workflow system is really cool as well. So a lot of the things I'm doing right now involve repetitive workflows that are complex, right? So the most obvious being trading related. So let's say I need to create a workflow that monitors a certain series of stocks. And when certain thresholds are met, it might actually go and make a trade based on that stock or that crypto or whatever it needs to do. And so the workflow, here's another problem. Here we go. Look, okay, it looks at my code. So the problem with this environment is you're looking at my dev environment, so it has a tendency to look at the code that underpins the MCP, but it looks like it figured it out. So now it's looking at my workflow list. It's looking what I have in the current queue, and I can create a complex workflow that can be auto-triggered over an extended period of time, hours, days, weeks, potentially months. Not that I've tried months. So this is using so this correlates directly with the swarm. The swarm can implement an instances on the E2B sandboxes. So here it actually looks like it did an example trading analysis workflow. So this is a good example. So in this case, you'll see here that it can create the initial trading data. So it's getting it. This is fake, obviously. You could use Alpaca or something. And then it's saying analyze for RSI. So RSI is a sort of basic trading sort of view. Like, is it going up? Is it going down? And is it going up in the last 5 minutes, the last 5 days, or whatever? And then it can calculate that. Then it can execute the trade when certain criteria is met. Is it good? Is it bad? So if it's less than X, then it might buy. If it's greater than, it might sell. Very simple sort of trade there. Then it can orchestrate the agents. So it can do multi-agent coordination. It can do vector-based agent matching. So I can have multiple agents. And now it's really hard to explain, but most of these agents can actually communicate with the other agents. So using the real-time channels within the system. So I could have multiple agents sitting around the globe in different environments, clouds, whatever, and they're all chained together in a way that allows them to coordinate and trigger each other. So where Claude Flow was kind of limited to a multi-thread environment that sat within a single machine or container, this is distributed globally or across multiple machines with different conditions and transformations and things like that. So you can see here I've got a number of different workflows I've already created. Now, if I want to take that a step further, I can say, there's different endpoints it can access. So, and I take a step further, I can say, give me a list of all the available tools to build a complex agentic system. Pretty broad statement. Let's see what it says. Let's see what it does here. Now, keep in mind, I don't have to run this at all within Rue or VS Code. I can actually run all of this in Claude Desktop or any application that has the ability to use an MCP. So I've moved all the logic into the cloud. So now I can train neural networks. And by the way, this all works if you want to try it. I'm using a brand new user just to test this, but if you want to try this right now and start competing in some of my competitions, keep in mind the points you get, I'll probably wipe. But when I go from fake to real, I'm going to integrate Stripe as well. I can show you that as well. But basically, you can go in here and you can type. Am I doing too much? All right, Flow Nexus. That's it. And then I'll just type version. I got my screen's a bit too wide. Let me see, I'm bringing that. Now I'm going to do help. And to log in, all you need to do is write auth, I think it's register. And you can also register with this interface just by typing auth. So I'm not logged in, so I'm going to log in quickly. And I'm going to register. I'm just going to register for you guys to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to register here, and I'm going to do /. I'm going to make this smaller. And I currently don't have user verification, so I might clear all the users. So if you lose your user, that's why. And I'll just do something easy like password, and register. All right, I've now registered. I've given you 256 Rube credits to start. That might be the nerdiest initial allotment of credits ever, but whatever. Now I'm logged in. Yeah, I do everything in increments of 8. All right, so now you can see I'm logged in. I got my balance. I got my levels. I've got challenges complete. Now, if I want to run this, I've also got a UI, so I can just run this. I can go in here. Now I can I can do combat training. I can do my sandboxes. I can talk to the queen.
So I might have missed some of it, Reuven, but if I do that command, am I joining the distributed network as well? Or am I creating my own network?
You're joining it's multi-tenant. So you're working within
Uh,
you're working within the environment, but it's distributed. You're not
right.
sharing capacity or anything like that from that vantage point. But you are essentially getting, you're accessing the compute environment. So yeah, and then if you want MCP, you have different MCP options. So you can, do I have help for the MCP? I'm not sure if I implemented help yet. Yeah, we did. Okay. So I've segmented all the different services so you can choose different tools. So you can enable like swarm mode. So if you only want the swarm tools, I get more than 100 different options in here. So you can see the different options available to you. So if you're only interested in running swarms or seeing the store, you can then add the tool for that, and you can see how those. So I'm only giving you 27 for the dev tools, or here are the neural network tools. So if we want to train a neural network, all right, let's do that. Let's train a neural network. Train. So I'm using all my RuFan and what I call it, neurodivergent tools to allow you to train optimized neural networks. So tell me about how I can train a neural network or
So those tools that you just listed, that's in Roo. So we're seeing Roo's. So they're individually available to users to selectively add as they want?
yes,
I- I-
you
I'm
can.
presuming
So,
I'm presuming you can do this from Cloud Code itself, right?
yeah,
Sorry,
so
not
all
Cloud,
this,
not Cloud
I'm
Desktop.
yeah, you can use Claude Desktop, you can use ChatGPT Desktop, you can use Gemini, you can use I've got it working in GitHub Copilot, Klein, whatever supports MCPs. I'm not showing you Claude Desktop because this is my dev environment, so I didn't, I didn't include it because it confuses it when you can include the thing you're building in the tool that you're using to build. So I removed it just for, and then right now I'm just using root it to sort of show how to test it. So in this case, I'm like, tell me how to create a neural network for trading crypto using Flow Nexus. So you are essentially learning how to be an agentic engineer using, competing in challenges, getting points, but you can also build your systems with it
Oh,
as well. So I'm teaching you and allowing you to use it. And then you can buy credits and stuff like that, and that hopefully will keep my lights on when you've maxed out. Or if you don't have any money, all you need to do is just keep competing in the challenges, and you can probably get enough to use the system without ever paying me anything at all. And then I get to know what the best algorithms are and how to get to those, and so we all win. Maybe that was too honest, but
I don't know, man. Honesty is a big part of the community we're building here, I think.
Yeah. So now what I'm doing is I'm listing my neural templates, and I can create, and there's a whole app store component. So we can go back here, and I'm gonna go and let's go into Claude. Let's go here. Tell me about the app store. And there we go. Again, this is Codex over here on the right. I'm not sure why it's creating a guide. I didn't ask it to create a guide, but that's Rue for you. It created a guide. I guess it decided that it needed to do that. So it's actually not decent. It looks like a decent guide. It's good anomaly detection, crypto trading strategies. It's really good. It's particularly well suited for anything that involves, again, triggers, long-term complex workflows. And you can then share your workflows and templates and things with others, and you can sell them for, again, currently for Root credits, which are bullshit, but whatever. Um, so here's, you can discover and browse templates by category. You can deploy Flow Nexus provisions in E2B sandboxes. You can publish templates. You can get rewards and credits for those. You can create your own challenges. So if you want to create the I don't know, the Finnish Agentic challenge of the week, you could go and create that as well and invite others to compete and see who the top dog is for that. All right, now let create a demonstrative practical example, creating a simple crypto trading network using Flow Nexus. So it's
So it's
building
interesting
something.
that there's a lot of people at the moment talking about Codex. It is getting, there's a wave building that it seems like it's trying to challenge Claude Code
It is.
yeah, it's definitely building a wave there.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, it looks like it did a Python base, which isn't actually a bad approach. I'm not sure I would do that. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna change this up and I'm gonna say, use the neural network MCP tools to create a trading network. So it created a Python, which isn't necessarily bad. It would likely deploy that as a sandbox, which is probably not a bad way to do it. But I'm going to see if I can do it without having to do any of that. So now what we see over here on the right is it's invoking the neural training components. We can see that it's using the LSTM, which is a really good model to do high frequency style trading. It's
Mm.
it's it's defining the structure, to defining the batch size. I didn't tell it, you guys saw, I didn't tell it to do any, it just kind of figures it all out. It's really good at sort of building these neural networks. Now it's going to attempt to do that. Now I don't know if I have enough credits in the system. I create a new user for it. Now it's training it against BTC and USD and Ethereum, which is, I guess, not a bad trading pattern.
Where is it sourcing the data from? Or is it simulating the data in this case?
Well, in the scenario that I would likely use it for, I would use my neural trading system. In this case, I didn't give it any data, right? I'm just telling it to train a model. What I would normally do is I'd tell it to use, the alpaca or some other source of data to go and learn how to do it. This user probably doesn't have enough credits to even run the neural network training either, which is probably going to cause some problems. And I'm mostly just
So Jed, you mean when you say data though, you really mean the data set for training the model, right? Like,
Whatever the model would consume to generate a signal that would be applied to future data.
right.
Yes. So in that scenario, this was a really good question. So I didn't give it any data. I'm winging it here. I'm vibing myself a neural network, really. But so now it's creating a neural network cluster, which allows for multiple systems to sort of connect to each other. So remember, my model for creating these neural networks is micro neural networks, many smaller synaptic components that all interconnect to each other using a mesh. I didn't even tell it that that's how my architecture works. It figured it out itself that the mesh is kind of the optimal approach to create this kind of neural network structure, because I gave it all the instructions. When you go here to the MCP servers, I gave it enough instructions so it knows when you go to neural that it's, training tiers and, data validations and various other components, that it needs to understand how these things need to put together. So I gave it enough sort of details. And remember, the MCP orchestrator, client, chatbot, whatever it is, sees these descriptions and then can sort of infer and understand how to publish or do performance benchmarking or neural clusters in deployments, right? So in this case, deploy a neural network as a node in E2B sandbox, and here's the various options available to it, like how autonomous is it, 0 or 1, low or met, or whatever. And I could probably customize that further later.
But I think, Ruben, though, because of your global memory system, though, wouldn't it access its global memory and say, oh yeah, I actually used a neural network, trained a neural network, and it could reference its memory, so maybe that helped, like, you know, direct it in its decision.
Exactly. That's exactly, and that's another part. There's so much going on here. It's just like this. I basically stuffed everything I've learned over the last several months of doing swarms and agentic engineering into a single hosted MCP based service. So taking it a step further, I'm going to cancel this for a moment. So and it's not allowing it to execute bad code. So it's trying again. But I can take this a step further and I can say, how can I integrate the real-time channels into this. So I also have the real-time channel. So think about real-time as kind of the Slack-like chat system that the system can use to feed information. So I could feed using WebSockets a steady stream of stock information or crypto information or whatever. The system can then subscribe to that as part of the neural network training component. Now that it has a cluster, it can identify that, well, that we have a neural network training cluster available to use. And then if I wanted to, I could go add my API keys for Alpaca or some other source of real-time information and add that as part of the training. And then I can let it run for a few days. And basically, after a few days, once it's sort of figured itself out, it can then go and say, after 5 days of training, this is the best pattern, or this is the most profitable result that I can use. So now it looks like it's creating some kind of JavaScript trading system, which I didn't tell it to do. It just kind of went and did that. I'm vibing. It's
Roof, I was trying the same thing here on Cloud Desktop, right? So it's doing similarly. So what I was wondering is, I can share my screen if you want,
yeah,
but
sure.
it seemed
Pull it
okay.
up.
All right, let me do it. Let me just make sure I'm sharing my screen. So hopefully you can see my screen now. Can you see
Yeah,
my
we
screen?
see it. We see it. Yeah.
Okay. So I basically started with the basic thing is like, do this kind of thing. Tell me how I can train a neural network. So it went about templates. It created a template, but this is where it gets interesting because it gives me options, option A or option B, but I didn't tell it anything. It probably made a decision on its own. I mean, it seems to have gone and deployed probably the first option. It was saying the time series predictor, because I noticed it has deducted 25 credits from me and it's gone about and secured. I think, Jed, you were asking about the data. So it feels to me that it's going and getting data from them somehow. All
No,
of
it
these
looks like it.
agents.
Yeah.
That would likely be hallucinating unless you explicitly give it the API. You can give it the API. So this is a classic kind of vibed approach, right? It's like you're giving it enough to sort of get going, but you're not giving it enough to actually do its job. So
Right.
what you likely do, like here, you reply to Claude, ask it, can I use real-time data from like a crypto provider or stock provider, and how would I add that kind of thing?
So before I do that, so what it is saying here towards the bottom is that apparently it's kicked off some kind of training, because that's what it is going on. So should I check for training progress, or
Yeah,
maybe I can, yeah.
So what I had to, so remember, MCPs have timeout issues, right? So
Yeah.
to get around the MCP timeout issue, what I did is I spin these up as background processes that allow them to sort of continue to operate after the invocation of the MCP tool itself. So what you can then do is say, well, what's the current status? Has it finished yet? And then it can check the sort of real-time components and other sort of status tools that I've included to tell you, okay, it's still running or it's failed or whatever. And then you might say, okay, what are the results? Can you optimize this further using real-time data? Now, what's cool, and when you're using the desktop, you can actually use the data that the desktop can get from like web searches and stuff as part of your training mechanism. So you don't have to pay anything. You can just basically say, go do a search based on what the current trends are and use that for training. And
Hey, so on the
Okay.
timeout issue, on the MCP timeout issue, Reuven, do you in your control loop logic, do you say to the MCP, hey, look, this is going to be a long running process, and so come back and don't expect it to finish anytime soon. Come back and poll it and check it at frequently and wait for the results, or do you just kick it off and let it run and not sort of coach it?
it depends if you're using Flow. So when you're using like desktop, it's a much more sequential approach, right? And the problem, like this might just be bad code. It might have been an inappropriately structured workflow. Who knows? Or maybe it's just a bug. I'm still building it. But when you're using something like Claude Flow, you can do things that are continually running, right? And can spawn multiple threads and then try and alter and do it more concurrently than it would if you're using desktop, which is basically, a sequential result, 1, 2, 3.
Right. And is the timeout, I don't recall, is the timeout a hard timeout for MCP? Like a certain number of minutes, or is it softly settable? Or is it just sensitive to timeout, to long running processes that don't give any feedback?
It depends. Each client has different timeout settings, which is arbitrarily defined by the
Yeah, the
MCP
coder,
client.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so generally it's somewhere between 30 seconds to a couple minutes. So it
Right.
isn't, and these sorts of processes generally will take much longer than that time frame, right? For example, I think the default timeout for Claude Code is 2 minutes. Right. So I have to basically stay within the kind of 30-second sort of window when I'm invoking something.
Right.
And to get that, generally, I'm just basically saying, if it's something that takes more than 20, 30 seconds, give me a kill, and then give me a response. This is still alpha, by the way, guys. I'm
Yeah.
And in this
Got it.
case, yeah, in your case, send me your ID and I could probably do a quick lookup. What was the name of your
What do you mean? ID, job ID? Let me share my screen again.
give me the job
Guide
ID.
me. The job ID. How do I find that? Is it at the this one?
Yeah, right there.
This
Swarm. Yeah. Say just current is pending or task orchestration stuck. Appears to be stuck in a queue. No agents have been assigned to work on the. Okay, scroll down. This might be a bug.
Shall I put it on the chat for you?
Yeah, put it in the chat, and I'll see if I can make a determination of what's happening.
Okay.
So the interesting question here is that for Mondevi, right, is that is the system actually doing any real work, or is it kind of working on hallucination data, and is it really not doing anything?
It depends.
How does he prove that as a user? How does he check that?
Can I show you my session?
Yeah, it depends. It depends what information you're giving it. Yeah, it's just like any other system. If you ask Claude Code and give it bad instructions, it's going to hallucinate itself into a corner, and that doesn't change, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So if you know how to ask the right questions, like I've got an Alpaca API, here's the key. I need to get the information and understand it and run it for the next 2 hours, and give it much better guidance, you're going to get a better outcome, right? If you just say, create me a training algo and say go, well, it might work, but it's likely not going to be particularly good.
Right.
All right. So Dragon, you said you had something?
Yeah, I was also doing like a third round of session-based testing with the cloud desktop of this app.
You're probably running at, I would guess we're probably out of credits. I think I've set the credits too high, and some of the initial users are getting 256
No,
credits.
I had like 200. Yeah, I started with 256, but I'm now like at 241 at the moment after the session and everything. So I did some actions that did some deductions, and one of these neural challenges said I submitted challenge. It said like I won like 100, but it didn't add it to my credit.
No,
so
you only win
I
at
can
the
show
end.
you like also
You
to
only
see right now. Yeah,
I don't have any. So you only get the
Yeah,
credits at the end of
and
the
yeah.
at the end, right? You wouldn't get it immediately. So maybe I need to work on the description, or maybe the chat GPT or whatever you're using doesn't understand that you don't get it until the credit or the challenge.
Your submission has to be judged, right? Your submission has to be judged.
So most.
Yeah, let me, if
Well,
I
let's
can.
see how good your code is, Dragon,
Yeah.
man. You got to prove.
Let's see.
To us that
Yeah,
you're the man.
Let's see.
Whilst you do that, there was one other thing I observed is like I was trying to create an app and it created through Cloud Desktop, and obviously I pushed it, but then it keeps telling me about look it in some kind of a dashboard in Flow Nexus. So Ruby, is there something like when we create something, say through Cloud Desktop, like an app, React app, and we push it out, does it kind of get deployed in Flow Nexus somewhere? And is there kind of a
I don't
dashboard?
I don't know. Right now, well, there is a dashboard. I haven't published it yet, but
Oh,
this isn't meant to create like desktop apps or anything like that. You can use Claude Code to do that, though those are fairly rudimentary at this point. Like
right.
this is meant for like agentic flows, doing complex, workflows that need to run for an extended period of time.
Okay.
This probably confused, you know.
Yeah, so solution submitted successfully, which means that you did
Yeah.
submit the challenge. The challenge was a score 100. The score, I probably need to work on the scoring.
That's like a score, not the points. Yeah. So
Those
yeah.
aren't points. Those are basically
Yeah.
I got Claude to do a quick analysis of your system.
Okay, I will have one more Git issue to add after the session because I did like a completed session. So this will be like already a third exploratory testing session using Cloud Desktop,
Yeah,
and
and
testing
I've done the
MCP
least
next. Yeah.
I've done the least work on the neural stuff. I've done most of the work on swarms and sandbox deployments. So if you want to really test it,
Hmm.
deeply, start with ask it to deploy a swarm sandbox or something, not using neural network.
Hmm.
I'm today or later when I get some time is when I'm going to do some more deeper testing on the neural network stuff. But as you can tell, I've bitten off a little more than I probably can chew with this. I've got 100 different MCP tools that I've decided to all pump into this thing.
It's
But the
super
good news is,
impressive. It's super
Yeah,
impressive. Put all of this together.
it
yeah, the
is.
good news is
I really
the
like this.
credit system, the payment system, the app store, the challenge, the swarms, the sandbox, the workflow system generally is functional. Now, the one guy in between projects is cranked out, several 100,000 lines of cloud hosted service, so
I,
it's gonna have
I tell you
bugs.
what, what's ruminating around in my head now, Ruben, is that we might be able to have eventually like a 10-minute coding competition in one of these sessions where we can all pile in and beat on each other and see who wins in like a 10-minute session. That would be
That
awesome.
we can do that right now, as long as we
Wow.
avoid as long I have trade
Calm down, man.
there's obviously going to be a few areas that there's some bugs we're gonna have to sort out, but I'm entering my own challenges many times a day at this point, and successfully across multiple test users, and I'm getting results. The points are being allocated. I'm purposely submitting bad code that doesn't work, and those are not winning. I'm then reflect. I assume people who are going to be using AI are going to continue to do submissions until they kind of get the optimal result. And I kind of want people to do that because it's a resource-based sort of system that you're consuming tokens and hopefully either winning or buying them. Um, and
So I have
so
a question is if you're running a competition and say there's 10 competitors and you go through and you decide who the winner is, do I get to look at all the other people's submissions once the competition is over? So I can say, hey, I actually
no,
like that
I I
code.
I didn't do that. I'm not sure why it's saying mock success. It shouldn't. I can see your sandboxes. I think the system doesn't understand what's real and what's fake. It's not fake.
It's telling me that it's getting like mock responses when the swarms are created in spawns. So yeah, sandbox is like okay, created, you get an ID, but it says like that it's deployed with the mock template deployment has like a mock
Yeah,
underscore. Yeah.
and this is a common problem with chat systems. It can't see the underlying system. I can see that it works, and I can see your sandboxes. Tell it to update the sandbox and to execute some code in the sandbox. Yeah, so
live
it's
testing.
yeah, why not? Again, it's alpha for sure.
Yeah, of course.
It's actually interesting to see it on someone else's screen.
So what is the command? Mock sandbox. I don't see the word mock here. For me it says like it analyzed the crypto market and generated for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other signals. But I don't know whether it's making it up or whether it is real. It probably just done a web search.
Updated memory, it to be not available. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's saying it's mocked. That's weird. And who knows, maybe I ran out of capacity. I don't know. Executing should, or maybe I broke it last night. Who knows?
Hey, so a quick. So Ruben, for all those code submissions, kind of a odd legal type thing is like who ends up once they're submitted, who ends up owning them? Do they just go into a repo? Are they
No, they're transient. You own them, I suppose, but I didn't want people to be able to see other people's stuff for security purposes. Right. You might want to actually build stuff with this platform. So yeah, the system is meant to be sort of multi-tenant in that regard. You can run it.
You don't kind of give away your rights if you submit a submission to a competition, right? You don't. I guess you're not.
The system is reviewing it, but I don't actually look at it. I have no way to actually see it. The only thing that can see it essentially is, well, I guess I could probably track it in the database, but I don't. So I'm validating it based on essentially what Serafina is looking and telling me is good or bad.
In practice, David, you're probably granting a license to execute in that remote environment, and I'm sure John can confirm this.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind was going. Right, it's like the code's got to exist in a spur of the moment spun up sandbox because it's got to exist somewhere to physically exist. And then so you're kind of temporarily granting a license for it to be there for someone else to look at it and work on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
does that sandbox get destroyed when it's done? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I've got garbage collection that happens because I don't want to spend any more money than I have to on these sandboxes. So unless you're invoking them and making them run for an extended period, which is going to deduct from your account based on metering, they just kind of disappear or go into a kind of paused mode where I don't have to pay for them. And I think I can reinstantiate them.
Would it be possible down the road to add an option for someone to post their GitHub repo where they've written their code if they want to volunteer it to the community?
Yeah, one of the so you'll see there's different templates available in the sandbox. One of them is a GitHub template, and basically you can pass your GitHub PAT at your own risk, obviously. But that allows you to import your GitHub and do updates and commits and that kind of thing in the E2B sandbox.
Yeah, Ruth, is the MCP itself storing data, or could it be run on a ephemeral basis?
It isn't. It's storing some data. It's storing it, but it's not storing it locally. It's storing it in the cloud environment.
The reason why I ask is the Claude app, the Claude mobile app supports MCP connections, but only remote ones, not local ones.
Fair enough. It does both.
No, the Claude mobile app.
Oh, mobile. I don't know. I didn't even know Claude Mobile even had MCP options.
It only allows remote MCP. So I'm wondering to what extent Flow Nexus could be hosted somewhere deployed somewhere that is then securely accessed from the Claude mobile app in order to then invoke effectively from all of our phones.
Oh yeah, I actually have another service that I use internally. It's somewhat implemented on the website using the if you go to the flow-nexus.rube.io and click on the MCP tool, that actually is using an streamable HTTP connection to, and just another edge function. it's not fully implemented because I'm more concerned about making the core system work before worrying about secondary sort of interfaces. But the problem with Studio versus SSE style implementation is they're completely different. Like I'm gonna have to rebuild the entire MCP server specifically to work remotely than it does locally. So for now, I was more concerned about getting to work locally because it's more useful for the types of things I'm doing.
Okay, so it sounds like I need to make a proxy MCP to secure the connection from a remote Claude mobile app instance.
Yeah, use fast MCP would probably do that in like 5 seconds. That, to be honest, that might be the solution. Maybe I just do some kind of fast MCP proxy.
So it's a wrapper of a wrapper. Got it.
Yeah,
Wrapper squared.
something like that.
All right.
So now I'm just confirming that. Well, now that you guys show me some, and the issue around the sandbox, which is weird because I spent all this time in the I don't know
Well,
why it's giving it, but
I
anyway.
mean, for me, it's actually getting real data and is building a trading strategy now. So obviously non-neural approach. It's very interesting actually looking at what it is doing. Let me quickly show. So again, going back here. So this is what it is doing now. So I first got the real market data and I did cross-check somewhere. Yeah, this is indeed the current prices. And then it asked me, what do you want to do? I said, build. So I just said, build me a trading strategy based on real data. So as I understand, like each of these commands, basically your sandboxes are being invoked. I think, is this Claude, is it Flow Nexus that is creating all of this code, right? Which is Claude Flow in the.
Well, it's actually Claude creating the code within the structure of the MCP call.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and click on the sandbox execute for a sec. Yeah. So what's happening here is we're sending. There's a couple different ways to send code to these sandboxes. You can basically upload files. You can inject the code directly into the request of the to execute, which is what's happening right here. Or you can sort of do a combination of both, where you might inject a GitHub API key and say, grab the latest version of this code from some location. But
Okay.
so now scroll down, and it's interesting that Dragons is doing that, and he was getting. I think the way he was asking was confusing the system possibly because I'm not seeing any indication of mocks at all from my side. I can see the sandboxes being created on the E2B service. Scroll down a little bit.
I specifically said it not to use neural. I said don't use
Oh,
neural patterns.
yeah. The neural. I'm still working on the neural stuff. And you could do the neural stuff as well. You just got to do it. You could like tell it to use my Roo fan system in the sandboxes.
Mm-hmm. It seems to have done something now. I've
Yeah,
created this strategy.
Yeah, that's it. That's how. And now you could say, ask it, can I use the the workflow system to automate this or something?
What is this workflow system?
This allows you to invoke more complex multi-step workflows that need to execute over an extended period of time. Click on the little drop down. So now you can see it's creating a workflow. It's doing data market collection. It's creating an agent, a research agent. This is very similar to how the Claude Flow system works, right? Now it's asking it to assign an agent to it. So it's creating different agents. Those agents are essentially different running machines that do the task. And then it's going to execute the workflow. And you click that and you see that it's saying here are the inputs in terms of thresholds for when it should do a trade or when it needs to handle slippage and different things. So again, you're vibing yourself a trading bot. Click there. Yeah, this will tell you the status. Success, that means it's working. Keep going. Now, this is the part that is going to actually execute the workflow. Setting up automated trading workflows. I find it interesting that it works for Montjuic, but it wasn't working for it works for me. But you know, that's joy, welcome to my life. The it works for me. Let me fix. Okay, now click on the queue status. This is that this means it worked. It's in the queue. That means it's good. Click on the audit. And I love the fact it just figures out that it's got the queue, it's got the audit trails, it's got all these things it can use to sort of self-determine how to sort of solve its own problems. So I've given it enough tools to sort of self-identify.
So, okay,
And
finally we've got the results here. What does it say? Okay, done that.
okay,
Okay,
so
these are
what
the
happens?
agents.
Yeah, so when BTC drops 4%, it'll buy. When ETH Well,
Okay,
hopefully this illustrates my vision. Anyway, there's still bugs to be sorted out, but what you see here is exactly the sorts of things I want to do with this, right? If if you can put this into like a security system or monitor for weird activities happening, people trying to hack or people trying to take advantage of my challenge system, every time something that's a little odd happens, the system is smart enough to automatically have agents that are looking and working and doing everything that it needs to do while I sleep. More importantly, the Rube's Got to Eat department. It's people can use this in to learn how to do agentic flows in a way that's literally just nothing more than using Chat GPT or Claude Desktop. And to Jed's point, maybe even on the mobile phone.
okay.
Yeah, so you're in demo mode. So what you're missing here, so what you might want to ask it is like, how can I integrate real market data sources like Alpaca into this?
No, I did ask it to use real APIs.
Oh, but did you give it the API? Did you sign up for the API and give it the API key?
No, I did not.
So that's hallucinated,
Oh, okay.
right?
So what should I ask?
If you didn't give it an API key for Alpaca or some other free source of data, it's 100% hallucinating that.
Okay. No, here is what it had done before. So it picked it up from. So here, when it build
Yeah,
another.
you injected, okay, well, not hallucinated, but you injected the current data that it looked up when it searched the web, and then you put that
Okay.
data in.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so live API, a coin, okay, maybe it's saying prove to me that it's using the CoinGecko API. Like, how are you using the CoinGecko API without actually having the API key?
What should I ask? Sorry, how are
Like,
you?
how are you getting real data from CoinGecko if you don't have the API key? It's gonna say, "Ooh, you're right. I'm not getting it." Like I can tell, I'm getting good at telling it when it's like kind of, telling me what it wants. Like this is pretty clearly not getting data. Like how are you getting it unless it was magically able to sign up for the service? You've caught an important detail. Yeah, you're lying to me. That's the important detail.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, look,
Fair
no
enough.
API. Oh, hey, there you. Oh, hey, no API keys required. I've been sorry, Clyde. I just assume you're lying to me. I'd never heard of a service that doesn't require an API key. Color me surprised. Scroll down. Oh, again, you're absolutely right to question this. Here's the complete explanation. CoinGecko free tiers we're using. That is clever. I'm not gonna lie. It actually found the free service and then used it. So limitations
Okay.
10 calls per minute. Now you're going to say make sure that the agent and workflow works within the rate limits. Now, dragons might Hey, Dragon, did you install this a few days ago? Maybe there's a chance you might have installed a version that I built like a few days ago as like a global install, or maybe you didn't use latest. That I'm just
Yeah,
confused
I
by.
didn't use the latest today. I just did like install again. Let me check which version it says that it's using. Just give me a second.
All right, so this is the perfect example of how you're going to use the system. So again, a bit of common sense, right? It told us that you can only do 10 to 50 calls per minute or whatever it is. So, and I could see in the previous deployment that it was doing a lot more than that. So you can execute in the sandbox additional updates. So you can optimize it, you can redeploy it, and now you can do a better interval that's not going to max out. It probably would have failed gracefully, hopefully, but it would have failed. Now you can now next thing you're going to ask it is, how can I create a workflow that can actually start doing real trades? And are there any free APIs that can, I doubt it, but maybe they're free APIs. To be honest, I never thought to look for free APIs. It just never occurred to me there would even be free APIs.
Okay, it's not allowing me to type
Yeah.
because I think it's working.
I see I see someone mention Hyperliquid Dex. We 3 separate API calls. And there's another thing. Now that we know that there's free options, you could legitimately sign up for multiple, or we could use multiple requests concurrently to get around the 10 limit by just basically using multiple sandboxes and having them run concurrently versus having one sandbox make the request every second. You can increase your frequency.
Okay.
Now,
Well,
so now you might want to say, can you run a back testing?
What does backtesting do?
Backtesting looks at previous historical trades and allows you to create a sort of algorithm of sorts that's optimized based on what's happened previously. So you might say, based on the current trading environment, the current state of whatever, can you do a backtest that looks for similar patterns historically and then optimize the system based on sort of backtesting?
Okay.
So now what you're doing is you're creating a backtesting system, which is, gonna create a whole other series of things that it can look at. Now, once I get my neural network stuff sorted out, you can then apply that to a custom trained neural network that is hyper optimized to do specific trade styles or tasks that are only needed for that one particular task. So, for example, if I'm looking at training a neural network to understand potential vulnerabilities in my system, I might create a neural network that only looks at particular forms of exploit, like SQL injections or people creating multiple accounts, same IP address being used. Right now, I'm not overly concerned because it's an alpha, and the more people try it, the more data I have to sort of look at to optimize it. So I kind of want people to use it and break it, and I'm not overly concerned with the costs. Obviously, I don't want huge costs, but you become my testing data. Keep in mind, I don't see your data. Well, I guess hypothetically I could see your data. I'm not, because I don't want to. I don't want to be in a position where I might get in trouble for seeing it. So I chose to obfuscate it so I can't actually go and see it. And I could take this a step further. I could probably use some kind of like in-flight encryption and other things once we're going, once this is working pretty good. All right, so the backtest result for some important issues with the current strategy. So scroll up a little bit. So I don't know what the problems were. Okay, here we go. It's going to tell us.
So one
just a
question.
quick
So where actually could I see what that thing is doing? So I need to log in that sandbox, or?
Yeah, so when you do sandbox execute, and there's several other sandbox options. You can do code execution, you can do like sessions and like a history, file operations. anyway, essentially, the most useful is basically creating like a series of like things you can execute against. So, for example, when I use the Serafina Judge, what I'm doing is I'm actually deploying a Claude code CLI in non-interactive mode, passing the Anthropic key to it, and then giving it a really detailed multi-step analysis that it needs to do to sort of understand whether the code is good or bad. You can do exactly the same thing. So you could in this case you could say, can I use like ask it, can I use um, the Claude code what do we call it, sandbox template, and have a more complex swarm setup or something, and it would allow you to do that. So here we go. Back to real win rate, 100% win. Yeah. So this is what you're doing right now is basically trying to, and remember, previous history doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work in the future. So when you're using as kind of, and I'm jumping around in my brain, I hope this all makes sense to you guys. But when you're using these systems to optimize workflows, what you don't want it to do is basically create workflows, or in the case of trading, that are long horizon. The I've created a system that allow you to work in very, very small temporal elements, right? I can work within the structure of millisecond structures or nanosecond structures, which are much more easier to predict. I can't really predict what the cost or the price of a stock is going to be tomorrow, but I can do a really good job of predicting what the stock or price of that's going to be in the next 10 to 100 milliseconds, because it's a much shorter window that I can train against. So when you're thinking about these systems, you got to start thinking about whether or not I'm trying to optimize for what's going to happen immediately in the blink of an eye, or am I trying to optimize for what I'm going to do 2 weeks from now? Optimizing for 2 weeks for certain problems aren't that hard to do if it's an obvious thing. And I used the analogy on a call yesterday. It's like, predicting weather. When there's a storm, coming over the lake towards my house, and I can literally see it out the window, and the forecast is saying it's going to hit in 10 minutes, there's pretty much a 99% chance it's going to hit in the next 10 minutes. If I try to predict whether there's going to be a storm coming over the lake next week, on next Thursday, and it's going to hit at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on next Thursday, the percentage goes from 99 down to like 20 or 10, because it's really hard to get that level of prediction in these systems. That's why stocks and predictive types of systems that are based on time series information work so well, because I'm no longer looking for next Thursday. I'm looking for 100 milliseconds from now, which is what you're doing. Hopefully that
Just
made.
one. No, please carry on.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So, sorry, I'll ask. So obviously we are not training a neural network here. So when the code that we were creating and executing in every sandbox, right? This code is Claude determining how it needs to execute it, right? I mean, there is no neural network being used here. Is that correct at all?
No, not in this one.
No, not in this one. So it's
what you're doing right now is more traditional algorithmic trading. So there is no neural network. You're doing back testing, you're doing optimization, you're doing, in this case, paper trading. It's fake.
okay.
You're trying to simulate what the trades are going to be, but you're not actually trading. You're faking it. Now, a neural network is going to take it a step further. A neural network provides you the mechanism to get that sort of really specific understanding of what it needs to do on a more granular level. So the next step here would be I think we saw that there's some issues with the neural network, but you could ask it to try to, ask it like, how can I start integrating neural networks to optimize this, and what are the benefits?
But what we can do if this app were, or this strategy was published, was up, like someone was talking about gamification, right? I mean, this is all demo, so there's no real. So we could actually monitor the actual prices and perform mock trading and see whether what we have what we have created, the strategies, how effective they are. That is your intent, I'm presuming, for your
Yes,
challenges.
and folks who are using my neural trading system are getting that. So what you're seeing here, you're kind of doing it yourself. But if you were using my neural trading system, you have all the tools available to you, and now you've got a mechanism to go from this kind of Claude code approach to one that's a little more friendly with this interface, and it can use all the things I've already built. It's got all the integrations, and it can just take it and deploy it. So you're kind of doing a more rudimentary version of that.
Okay, thank you.
It's pretty, this is as far as agentic engineering goes, this is as good as I can get. Right? It can do a lot, and I think it's almost overwhelming. It's like because it can do so much, right? Dragon, did you
Yeah,
ever figure out?
yes. So, just like again, like a short screen share what I managed to do, because okay, I did like a different thread that was like I would say thread that I did testing, so it did some assumption, in the beginning. So I tried like now using, okay, list me what I can do, start like freshly, and spawn a team of agents and design like a testing agent system based on the specification. I generated this specification a while ago. And then
Okay.
it started, with the, swarm in it, and it started spawning agents.
And
So
again,
yeah,
you'll recognize this from anyone that uses Claude
yeah.
Flow. The key difference
Scaling,
is,
yeah,
yeah,
creating the workflow, yeah.
this is in the cloud, right? So this is now cloud-based, not local, as you can probably tell.
Yeah, and okay, now it wants something more. So it did like tried some neural training, task orchestration, and then okay, I ask it start, creating test generation agent. It started creating a sandbox and executing it. So now it like, started like really through flow as expected.
Okay, so note to self, make
Yeah.
sure you, for now, use the @latest on the MPX.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to get this. Can you actually just keep scrolling down? I'm just curious what it ends up doing.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I stopped too early.
Yeah, the latest means you're going to get my latest. Now, that also means I might break what was working yesterday. It's a nature of this type of work. But okay, add the practical examples you can build, add learning capabilities. Yeah,
Because
it's pretty
I
cool.
defined a couple of more, but
Yeah,
like
no,
that. Yeah.
and you can take this way further too. So you've got
Yeah, I know. So
you got the
this is
deep
yeah,
try
yeah.
the deep research. So
Yeah.
you can go in here and you can like use deep research to create the world's most powerful swarm, blah blah blah. Test it, validate it, optimize it, and let me know when you're done.
We'll try that, as
Right?
soon as possible.
And I actually kind of like the Claude desktop approach because for a lot of and especially if I can get on my phone, I can just kind of fool around with it when I'm on the train going to the Toronto meetup and see what crazy stuff I can build when I'm on the go.
I mean, that will really be engaging, because one of the things I think you said in the previous session is like people kind of get scared when they see the Visual Studio thing, right? But this kind of really makes it real for everyone. Most people
Yeah.
kind of pay engagement.
Well, that the learning was, again, I'm doing a lot with the neural trader stuff. It's been really popular for me, and a lot of the people who are showing up are not agentic engineers. They're not programmers. They're technical money guys or people who know enough to be dangerous. And it became pretty clear that if I wanted to capitalize on that opportunity, I needed to make it more tailored to the types of people who actually want these tools. And that wasn't VS Code. And it probably wasn't even a website. It was like ChatGPT or Claude or something, and they could just go in there and ask a few questions, fool around with it, and get a feel for how it works. And that was the guy. That was kind of what I was going towards. By the way, I'm not having any trouble with my neural network deployments, which is a classic. Works for me. Oh no, maybe no. I did have a couple tests fail.
If you could share your your basically prompts, we can cross test them on Cloud Desktop or other, just to give you feedback, like is it working on Windows or other stuff. So just a
Yeah, so
prompts of what were the prompts you used, and we will back run them.
yeah, I'm getting a few of the things are failing. So what I'm doing here is I'm running a test here in Rue again. I like Rue for that because it's separate. So I basically said use the FlowNexus MCP to test the neural networks and ensure everything works. And then it's gonna create the list my templates. I've got different, I've created basically all the templates that, Jed would and Ocean would probably be familiar with it from their work with the Rue fan system. But basically, it's kind of an implemented version, a hosted version of that. So now it's deploying that. Now when I'm going to look here, I'm actually looking at all the different responses as well. So in this case, I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to see this. This is a fail, so I'm going to have to fix that. This is an easy fail. This means that there's just no permission to actually do it. It's a common sort of database issue. Then I'm going to go here and I'm going to do the next one. This one actually worked. So looks like it was smart to check if I was actually authorized. That's why I included the auth tool for exactly this scenario. So what this means is I essentially don't have permission set correctly for this particular row. So that's an easy one to fix. And so then we go here and it's looking to do a training. So now I'm going to look at the response as well. That worked. Success true. It's the training executed. And then I'm going to look here. And this is why Rue is so great because it gives me both the what it's asking for, which is up here, the model IDs and the predictions, and then it's giving me the response and the confidence. It looks like that worked as well. And the neural cluster in it, which is going to create a cluster of these. And again, multiple small neural networks. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think micro neural networks are going to be the thing. So everything I'm doing is based around the concepts of micro connected neural networks that each forms a synapse and they communicate with other neural networks to create a broader neural network kind of concept. Then it's going to deploy the neural network. And we see here that it works. Yep, results true. Capabilities, training, inference. It's good. To be honest, this looks like it works enough that you probably could create a trading system with it, even with some of the breakage. It's probably why it worked. Why I thought it worked. Here we go. So now the response is it created a neural network. We can see it uses a mesh topology. And keep in mind the topologies are important when you're creating these. A mesh is kind of like an interconnected structure where all the agents can kind of collaborate with all the others. Sometimes when you're doing this sort of thing, you might not actually want to use a mesh. You might want to use a star topology or other sort of structures. A star would be like a hub and spoke kind of approach, and there's other ways. Depending on what problem you're trying to solve, you could choose different architectures and topologies. This system automatically just determined that was optimal. And we're going to go see what else it did here. Oh, looks like the sandbox failed. Yeah, this is the same problem you were having. So I can fix that. That'll be easy. And I think that relates to the original problem. It didn't actually create the sandbox. Now it's going to do a benchmark. Probably with no sandbox, it's likely not going to do anything, but we'll see. No, it looks like it's sort of kind of working. All right. Yeah, you have a question?
No, I tested in Cloud Desktop as well. And this is what I found it worked actually, testing wise. So if I'm just sharing on the chat what I found on Cloud Desktop. Just a second, I will just Control X. It's a limit. So this is what it tells me. So I've shared the public link as well of the test. So if you click on the link, you will see what I did, that Cloud.ai link.
Let's take a look here. Oh, you actually, and this is the other cool part. With the Cloud Desktop, you can actually share your actual chats, and then people can copy and paste it or run with it, create your own conversation from it. All right, what do we got here? I'm going to Let me move this to my, I got too many monitors. Let me check my calendar quickly and make sure I don't have an upcoming call. Nope. My wife, by the way, Brenda, she manages my calendars, so she puts little buffers in for me now, so I'm not as the 12-hour days with no bathroom breaks is no longer a thing. All right. Apparently, I've got work issues. All right, what do we got here? This is the coffee of chat. Okay, so this is cool, by the way. Maybe this is how we should do the bug testing. All right, so you said use Flow, Nexus, MCP tools to test the neural networks and ensure everything works properly. It's exactly what I would do. We can see the request. Now, what response? So same sort of thing I'm doing. Flow, Nexus, failed. Yeah, okay. Sandbox, same issue I'm getting. So what we're seeing here is the sandbox isn't deploying. I think we determined it's a row level policy issue. So I'll fix that here in a moment. I can probably fix this without ever actually pushing any code, which is the
What
other
is
benefit.
what is the test user 001? It's obviously not my user ID. So what does it do? It just creates randomly an ID, I'm presuming, in Flow Nexus. Is that what
Yeah,
it does?
I might need to enforce user IDs better.
Okay.
And yeah, so what it's doing is it's just randomly creating a user ID. I should probably force it to actually use your user ID. Which is this, by the way.
Mhm.
This looks like it is. So one of two things might have happened. It might have actually went ahead and previously created a new user. I don't know. It's hard to say. I could look at a database and see, but I think I might have made it a little bit too permissive. But we're seeing that it's failing, and this is the same problem. Permission issue. Yeah, it's the row level policy that I was talking about. You can see that it's using the nano structure. So I've got different structures. Depending on the training, I charge more tokens. So nano is the cheapest. Let's see what else we got here. This is just training data, nothing major there. Looks like that worked. Training status. So it's kind of working. It's working enough that it probably can do what it needs to do. And that's why I thought it was working. I just needed to do a little more validation, apparently. So the workflows working. Performance benchmark, inference, that's working. Creating a mesh proof of learning. This is cool. Proof of learning is a really good way to do it. So what the proof of learning does is basically creates a kind of well, exactly what it sounds like. It's unsupervised learning, but it rewards the model for positive learning attributes, kind of like a crypto style sort of proof of stake. Um, we didn't tell it to do that, by the way. It figured that out itself, which is cool. You could tell it to try different consensus mechanisms and determine what the best consensus mechanism is. It's using my DAA protocol to do that as using the WASM. So it's embedding the WASM directly in the edge function. So I've compiled my neural network architecture to a WASM that I deployed as an edge function, and it's utilizing that, which is cool. So that's working as expected. This is pretty, I don't know, maybe I'm easily impressed, but this is pretty crazy. It's deployed. Yeah, so it's not deploying the nodes. Okay. These are all easy things to fix. Yep, okay, so it actually did require the user ID handle, so it figured that out itself. Okay. Same. So I just confirmed I had the same exact problem. So I'll be able to fix that momentarily.
Now I'm presuming I can just ask because it to raise a GitHub issue from within Cloud Desktop and to the repo as well.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's the way we can do it.
Well, what I was thinking of possibly doing was adding another MCP tool that directly allows you to create issues in my GitHub repo directly from the tool. Now, the only problem with that is I might suffer from the Claude Flow where I've got like 500 issues I never look at. But So I'm a little overwhelmed, and I got to do something I got to do an update to Cloudflow as well, but never, that's a different problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm sure maybe speaking for many, but personally, I've had the ambition of being able to contribute to the code base, I think, at some point in time. I think it will be like if we can, I think, find a way of, I mean, again, I come from not having coded for years, right? But then the ability to now locate the issue, log it, and I probably create and probably help with some of this core code bases. So maybe I'm sure there are lots of people here who might want to do that.
Yeah, that is my biggest challenge. I'm one guy with a lot of bots and a lot of people paying me to do stuff, and I'm stretched in too many different directions. What we probably need, if we need to figure a way for us to better collaborate. And I'm not even necessarily against open sourcing the Flow Nexus system. I just don't know how to do it in a way that is going to be secure. Like if I made this open right now, there's a high likelihood it would be, hacked very quickly and exploited because of it being open. So I'm just not sure how to do that in a way that's doesn't jeopardize the entire platform itself. So maybe I need to create a trusted group of folks that help collaborate to start, maybe, or I don't know.
Just need approvers, right? I mean, I submitted a few pull requests to FlowNexus, and that you're still guarded by, the security is such that you have to approve the merge, right?
Yeah, it's just it's Cloudflow probably. I think you're but
No, no, I was FlowNexus actually. There's a few PRs that I put
well,
up.
there's no code in the FlowNexus repo. There's actually a different repo for the actual core code for the system.
Okay, maybe it's Cloudflow, but it's because I forked it. I forked something and I submitted a few. Anyway, is there a reason? I mean, pull requests from forks should be sufficient to ensure that nothing's getting in the system that you don't want to get in the system, right?
Well, a lot of the pull request yours, I haven't looked at yours to be honest, but the a lot of my pull requests I'm seeing have like 40,000 changes, and I'm like, I can't validate 40,000 changes. And then there was a several that had like vulnerabilities that I don't know if they were purposefully added or mistakenly added, but regardless, the result is the same. So then I'm like, well, once I saw the people trying to put in backdoors and things and trying to steal information, I'm like, I don't know how to really handle this in a way that doesn't consume my entire life on this project. And keep in mind, I'm juggling, 70-hour work weeks across dozens and dozens of customers. So this is like a hobby project. So
Yep.
what we need to figure out, back to your point, is like some kind of like organizational structure around this stuff that I'm not the bottleneck, which I 100% am at the moment.
Well, I think there's two things. One is, like you said, you can have some people that are, sort of sanctioned approvers. I think you've already got probably some candidates for that. But then the other part of it is, is there an agentic solution? Because in part, some of the pull requests that I've sent, because you've got GitHub Copilot set up already, it gave me feedback on what I sent and said you should probably this would be more consistent with what's already in there. So I made the changes that Copilot told me. And it is, in theory, you could have other agents that you feel are kind of vetting for and looking for the problems that might get introduced. You still have people that do the final merge, but I think that you could have a lot of agentic sort of vetting of anything that's trying to come into the system.
Yeah.
They're still
So
vulnerable to prompt attacks or prompt injection.
you were 100% vulnerable to prompt injections. That's when people in the mix come in. But I think from, sort of taking it where Michael is going, I think we could probably do some sort of CI/CD pipeline and then create a kind of workflow based maybe even on my workflow system that I've been showing you guys today that does some kind of multi-step validation, much like how my Serafina judge system works. And I've already made the judging system essentially use Claude Code and Claude Flow to analyze the the submissions of these challenges to verify that they're good, solid, functional, don't have backdoors already. It might just be a different use of what I've already built for that purpose.
I
With
think
a
that's
human in the yeah, with a human at the end of the rainbow. There was yeah. So turns out there was an issue with the MCP on the neural training system. I was using the wrong. No, no. I think I was. Yeah, I think I was using the wrong service key. Yeah, I think that's the problem. A lot of code in this thing, and but I finding a couple small, easy to fix errors is always a good thing here. All right, we're almost out of time. I gotta jump. Any last comments? Anyone in Toronto that wants to come out and meet us in person? We'll be on John Street, 35 John Street next Tuesday. Jed and crew in New York. If you want to do a Zoom, maybe we could do a quick Zoom and do a hello from both cities. I don't know. And
Sure. Although I'll need to defer to Willie V3 to figure out how to get the JessWorks system connected to whatever you're doing out in Toronto.
yeah, we basically just have the Wi-Fi that the tribal scale guys give us, and we'll connect to a Zoom or something.
Cool.
Ruv, I just wanted to add that like the system that you've built with all these MCPs and the Flow Nexus stuff is absolutely mind-boggling. It's incredible, right? At the same time, and off the back of what Mondweep said, I'm really keen to see Claude Flow kind of continue as a going concern for Agentics, because that's what drew me into this community, was actually these orchestration tools, starting with Spark and that stuff, and coming into Claude Flow. It's the stuff that makes it really easy to use and really robust to generate code that I'm interested in. So if there's some way we can all kind of support you and collaborate to keep it going with Claude Flow, or perhaps even a provider agnostic tool, whether that's open code or something like it. Yeah, I'd love to see that carry on.
No, I agree. And I totally let's make it happen. In a perfect world, if I could support myself just building crazy things all day, that's would be what I'd like to do. I do the consulting stuff because I gotta pay my mortgage, right? So
Yeah, man.
figure it out, right? There's only so much time in a day and the week that
That's it.
I can do this stuff. I'm already, working probably too much, but maybe there's a way for us
That's
to
it.
collaborate.
Yeah, there's a lot of goodwill here, man. I'm sure we can make it happen.
All
Hey,
right.
on that note, very quickly, some viewers have been saying that the messaging and the newsletter stuff that we did, we need to do more. So because lots of chapters are present here, a few of us will put on the Discord channel. But I think from the chapters, if there's something happening, like I think we will create a shared document. Could you just put some highlights there, because we would like to get a regular newsletter out probably every Tuesday or Wednesday from the next couple of weeks. So a few of
This
us are
from the
working. So
Finnish
just a general
perspective.
message.
Yeah. So we've got a template. I did a few newsletters, about 2-3 months ago at this point, and they did well. We had a lot of readers, and we've got a lot of subscribers and all that sort of stuff. So with any of this stuff, it's just a matter of continually doing it every week, and that's why this event or these online things work so well, because we do it every week, and it just after time it just kind of builds momentum and continue. So we just have to do it.
Hey, what do you think about an live meeting with the like a agentic vibe coding with the like a chapter ambassadors or something like that? I'm trying to plan like if we could meet somewhere in live. Would it be possible?
So
Like
you
in
want
live
all the ambassadors in one room?
Yeah, probably.
that's probably difficult. We've got people in what, 40 something countries?
So you want everyone to go to Toronto?
I don't want everyone, but
Oh.
who are volunteers or maybe to like offer the opportunity that this would be a day that many people would go, or something like just like a meetup, you know. I know. It would be really nice to meet you all of it, guys. You just remember last Friday we were talking about the same kind of a idea.
By the way, next week I'm taking my daughter to Ohio. So if I disappear, I'm probably in like Guantanamo Bay or something. But I won't be able to do Thursday or Friday next week. She's her favorite artist is coming to Ohio, so she and I are doing a road trip. But to your point, yeah, I don't know about meeting in person. We'll see how it goes with me going to the US. Last time I went, they stuck me in a room for several hours. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time.
I apologize on behalf of the
In
American.
Germany, they have double S. You had 4S in your ticket. So
he's driving.
I'm driving, but last time I took my family to New York on a road trip, and they stuck me in this room for 4 hours while they just sat in the sort of waiting area and asked me questions about AI. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with my daughter, because that would be traumatic for her. But so I'm a little nervous, but we're gonna give it a go.
Well, I hope
We'll
they
see
learn something from you.
Yeah, when they literally asked me, what does AI stand for? I said Adobe Illustrator.
They are afraid that you will replace them as a like a control. So just next time you won't be here, we're gonna be my agents.
Yeah, needless to say, I'm a little nervous. Like and be honest, I lived in Seattle for years and lived in New York and spent a lot of time in the US. I just whatever, it's been difficult for me. I don't know why. I guess
Thanks, Rick.
Maybe I should have called it the AI hackerspace. That probably was my undoing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Thanks, gentlemen.
All right. If I
much.
disappear, well, tomorrow we're doing the AI hackerspace. Maybe we'll have to rebrand that. But so anyone that wants to present, let Rob or I know, and we can see what you guys are doing.
Rob, we may just do another office hours on Discord.
Well, I'm not sure if Rob's still on the call or not, but yeah. All right.
Hopping in.
Okay.
Bye.
Sounds
Thanks.
good. Later.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.